My family is blaming me for a fight after my half-brother destroyed pictures of my mom, plus updates. Original post. So, a bit of backstory. I, 16 male, recently moved in with my dad, 47 male, after my mom died. Dad's never really been in my life, and he and my mom were never married. He has a wife, Susan, 48 female, and two other kids, Amy, 14 female, and Mark, 18 male. So, when I ended up moving in with my dad, it obviously caused a lot of issues with the rest of the family. Nobody wanted me there, and basically gave me the cold shoulder. Susan, Mark, and Amy tend to talk with each other in French because they know that I can't understand them. And my dad has tried to force an English-only rule in the house with a little luck. For the first month, Mark just ignored me completely, even though he and I were forced to share a room since the house didn't have any space. I tried to be nice, but I just lost my mom and it hurts. And it's been so much changed so quickly. 2 days ago, though, I found postcards and pictures and letters from my mom ripped into a bunch of pieces and scattered all across my bed. I kept them in a box under my bed, and Mark had been the only one in the house with me at the time, so I know he did it. I started yelling at him, and we ended up verbally fighting right as Susan and Amy got back home. I can't remember what Mark said anymore because I was so mad that I wasn't thinking straight, but I remember hitting him. We both exchanged a couple of punches, and I accidentally elbowed Amy in the nose while she and Susan were trying to separate us, so she was bleeding too. When my dad got home, we were still yelling, and Susan was trying to throw me out of the house. I couldn't stop crying because I just had my only actual photos of my mom ruined and I don't know if we can fix them. My dad tried to settle everyone down, but didn't end up punishing Mark because there's no actual proof that he did it. I got in trouble for throwing the first punch though, and Susan is still trying to convince my dad to send me somewhere else. Both Amy and Mark keep telling me that I ruined their family by coming here, but I didn't really have a choice. I know I shouldn't have hit him, but I was so mad I didn't think. I know I shouldn't have escalated anything, but am I really the one at fault here? I don't know how I'm supposed to live with Mark anymore. Now for the top advice before reading the update. These parents need to hold somebody accountable because obviously your pictures did just rip themselves up. You're right that you shouldn't have hit your half-brother, but assuming that your mom passed away rather recently, you're in grief. So it's not unreasonable that you'd be upset by this. I'm sorry this happened to you. That's a truly awful thing to discover. It's been about 2.5 months and it was really sudden. My mom and I were really close, and I think I've seen my dad twice before I had to go live with him and not for almost a decade. I know I still have recent pictures on my phone, but it's not the same. From what I've figured out, Susan knew about the affair but didn't know about me until my mom died. Amy and Mark didn't know about the affair at all. They're mad at me for existing, but they're also really upset with my dad for good reason. I don't have any family on my mom's side that can take me in, and my dad lives in a different country than my mom and I lived in before. So we're not close to anyone I used to know. I just don't know how to tell my dad how isolated I feel without sounding ungrateful for him being able to take me in after my mom died. Yeah, I can only imagine how hard everything is right now. Your whole life has basically been flipped upside down. Is there anyone on your mom's side you could talk to? Maybe even live with for a few years until you're old enough to get your own place? I think that would be worth exploring, to get yourself out of this environment that doesn't seem to be getting off on the right foot. It's just my grandparents on my mom's side, and they basically disowned her because my dad was married to his wife when my mom got pregnant. They're very religious, and I haven't had any contact with them since I was born. They didn't even come to our funeral. Now for the first update. So I've posted about this in here before, but things have gotten worse and I feel like I don't know how to navigate it. It's been about 6 months since I, 16 male, had to move in with my dad, 47 male, and his family after my mom died, and I still feel like his wife and my half-siblings despise me just for being there. The issue of my mom's pictures getting destroyed turned what was already a crappy situation into something that is just killing me. I ended up sleeping on the couch for almost 2 months because I couldn't stand the sight of my half-brother Mark, 18 male, after what he did to my stuff, and started carrying a backpack around the house with anything personal that I had brought from my mom's apartment wherever I went, so nothing else could be damaged. Mark ended up apologizing to me, but it seemed more of a show for my dad than an actual apology to me. My dad's wife, Susan, 48 female, and my half-sister Amy, now 15 female, still barely acknowledged me and still almost exclusively used French in the house, which I'm only now starting to pick up words in conversation for. I've always felt like a stranger in this house, and while I understand why they don't want me around, I don't know what I can do to try and make things work. The worst of it came 3 weeks ago when I lost my keys to the house and got stuck out in the rain after I came home. I tried calling my dad, but he didn't pick up, and I rang the doorbell as many times as I could because I saw Susan's car outside the house, so I know she was home. There wasn't much close by us, so I couldn't walk anywhere to wait. By the time my dad got home an hour and a half later, I was soaked and cold, and when we got inside, Susan just said that she was on a call and couldn't hear the doorbell ringing. I couldn't even talk to her and just went upstairs and cried in the bathroom before going to bed. My dad apologized later for not seeing my message sooner, but that's not really the issue here. I feel sick living here and can barely eat or sleep half the time. My grades are tanking and I don't feel like I can talk to anyone. I miss my mom, and everyone is pretending like she never existed and I have to basically do the same thing so nobody at home gets mad at me. The main issue is, a week ago, my dad's best friend and his husband, who I've met a couple times and stayed with the first couple nights after I reconnected with my dad, while he was trying to figure out how to bring me home, heard about me being locked out of the house and asked if I wanted to come stay with them for a while. I want to say yes so bad, because anywhere has to be better than where I'm staying now. But I know it's going to cause issues with my dad, because he ruined his entire relationship with his family to be able to bring me home so I wouldn't have to go into foster care, and it's going to seem incredibly ungrateful. I know my dad's trying, he really is, but I don't know what I'm going to do if I have to keep living in his house until I turn 18. How do I broach this subject with him? Is trying to move out even worth it at this point, or should I just toughen up and deal with it for the next year and a half? You're living in a hostile environment. With time, that will really affect your health negatively. You've been offered a safe space to live. Don't walk, but run in that direction. Your dad is the adult. Let him deal with all the negative consequences. Put yourself first. I'm really sorry about the loss of your mother. Honestly, I feel like it probably already is. I'm so tired all the time but can't sleep, and somehow still can't get out of bed in the morning. I feel like I haven't even gotten a chance to breathe or process the fact that my mom's dead because there's been so much change so quick. Which is also kind of why I don't want to have to move houses again. I am so sorry. Your father's wife and your half-siblings have a lot of misplaced anger. Do they treat your father the same way they've been treating you? Although in relation to the advice you're seeking, that's neither here nor there. I would definitely take your dad's friends up on the offer, even if it's just for a short while. You need to get out of that toxic situation. You also need to have a frank talk with your dad. Is he backing you up in these situations, or does he stand by and let them treat you like that? You're going through a rough time, and it must be terrible to feel like no one is there to support you. There was definitely a lot of tension between my dad, Amy, and Susan, but that seems to have mostly gone away after the first couple months. Mark seems still angry with him, but it kind of feels like they just heard all that anger on me. I've tried talking to my dad about it, at least a little, but there aren't a lot of times where it's just the two of us and I don't feel comfortable saying anything in front of everyone else. Nobody really does anything to me in front of my dad, except the language thing, which he does try and stop every time he catches it. But Mark and Susan usually just do things behind his back to hurt me, and I think my dad doesn't want to believe that his wife and kids are capable of treating me like that. Now for the second update. It's been about a week since I talked to my dad, and I've had a couple people message me about an update, so I figured I'd give one. For those who didn't see my original post, I, 16 male, had to move in with my dad, 47 male, and his family after my mom died, and things have been extremely strained. The worst incidences being my half-brother ripping pictures of my mom up, and my dad's wife leaving me locked out of the house. So I was given the offer to move out by my dad's friend and his husband, both 30s male. I followed a couple people's suggestion and texted my dad's friend that I wanted to leave, and they ended up suggesting we all go out to lunch. I think they could both tell how nervous I was around my dad, and my dad's friend John ended up being the one to bring up the idea of me moving out. My dad seemed completely blindsided by it and asked why I wanted to move out. John and his husband Ben reminded him about everything that's been going on at home, and I just kind of sat there. My dad seemed really upset, and it made me feel terrible because I already felt guilty about leaving. But then he just asked if I really wanted to go. I said yes, and he just immediately agreed. It kind of hit me that I wanted him to try and fight for me, to say sorry for everything that has been letting happen, and for my dad to try and keep me at home. But he just let me go like it was nothing. It's been hard after my mom died, and my dad's the only family I've got left, so it really didn't make me feel any better about leaving, even though I don't have to deal with my dad's family anymore. Ben took me back to their apartment while John went with my dad to get my stuff from the house, and they had set up their extra room for me already. He apologized that they hadn't been able to do this sooner, and that they hoped I would like living with them. John came back with all of my things, and they kind of gave me time to decompress. I ended up sleeping for almost 16 hours because I was so exhausted. Over the last week, they've been really nice about making me feel at home, and have talked to me about getting me into therapy to deal with losing my mom, and everything that happened at my dad's house. They're also trying to figure out how to move me into a different school, so I don't have to deal with my half-sister and everyone that knew my half-brother. It's the first time in months that I feel like I can actually breathe, and I don't feel like I'm constantly on guard. My dad hasn't texted me much or reached out in the last week, so I don't know what's going to happen with him. But for now, I'm safe, I guess. So that's what happened so far. Thanks for everyone that gave me advice and wished me well. It's been really hard lately, and it made me feel less alone. Edit: a quick update over the last 24 hours or so. Ben's sister somehow saw this and sent it to him, so he and John came in and asked. They never heard about a picture incident, and apologized that they hadn't asked to get me out sooner. They had no idea how bad it was, and said I can stay as long as I want or need to. I realized then that I hadn't really said thanks to them because it's been so crazy. So I told them how much I appreciated having the place to stay. It was a really emotional moment, honestly, and I'm glad it happened. They did think it was funny that they've been called everything from my roommates to my new landlord, so that's helped soften the mood a little. I'm sorry I haven't been able to respond to many comments. This feels really overwhelming, but I just wanted everyone to know that the support means a lot. Thanks. It sounds like you are in a good situation after being in a very bad one. It was good you moved out, as your dad was not likely to change his wife and children. Definitely go to therapy. You went through a lot, and it sounds like John and Ben are good people. Maybe they have a little experience with tough family situations and can be there to help you. You can definitely now rest and then be able to get back up in a situation that allows you to focus on your best future. I'm sorry your dad didn't work out, but after some time, you will be 1,000 times better off than if you had stayed. His family was abusive to you and you aren't the problem. Just a consequence of your dad's actions. However, you are your own whole human being and deserve happiness. His wife should know that. His wife shouldn't have been a bad person and treated you poorly, and thereby teaching her children to treat you badly because of her own unhappiness with your father. Your dad likely let you go because he knew he can't keep you safe from his chosen family and past choices. He should know that you don't deserve to live in that environment because of him. Hopefully he will send you money, even if he can't face you out of shame he has against himself. You are just a person. Rest up, heal, and go on doing person things. Internet hugs and head pats. Now for the third and last update. Hey everyone! I know it's been a while since I made my update post about moving out of my dad's house, and a lot of people have been asking for another update, so I figured I would give one last update. Things have been relatively quiet since I moved out. I transferred schools and started therapy a few months ago. John and Ben have been really kind about giving me space to grieve my mom, and I don't feel like I have to hide all of her stuff anymore. I managed to get a couple of the pictures digitally repaired thanks to someone reaching out to me on here. And while it's not the same, at least it's something. Family-wise, it's still hard. After my post blew up, it ended up reaching out to Amy, my half-sister. She said she had read all the comments and started feeling bad about everything that her mom and brother did. She ended up apologizing for what she had done and understood if I didn't want to forgive her. We texted for a while about all of it, and we've been in an okay place since that talk. I still haven't heard anything from Mark and Susan, but I don't really expect to either. My dad has come over to John and Ben's apartment to see me a few times, and we go to lunch about once a month. But other than that, I haven't really seen him much. John did tell me that about 3 weeks ago, my dad moved out of the house and got his own apartment. From what it sounds like, he and Susan aren't separating yet, but is giving her space. I tried texting him about it, but never got a response. Things are okay now, even though it's getting close to a year since my mom died, which will probably hard when it happens. Thanks for everyone that messaged me or commented. I'm sorry I didn't respond to everyone, but the response was a little overwhelming. I think the most upsetting thing out of all of this is that OP will never get those photos back. He doesn't have any more ties to his mother and doesn't have any way of asking anyone for photos of her, stories, or literally anything. All he has now is memory. And not disciplining Mark because there's no proof it was him? What, did Opie rip his own keepsakes? Right? Oh, it was a ghost. No, a-hole. It was the person who despised him and had access. You punish Mark for the destruction and for lying through his teeth. What horrible, crappy people. I'm just glad a 14-year-old sister was able to recognize she was being a craphead. I think I've read this before, but God, poor Opie. It's not his fault the dad was a cheater. Didn't even fight for Opie at all through the entire story. A typical pathetic cheater. Can't say I'm surprised at all. I'm still gutting for Opie regardless. He is a coward. He refuses to stand up for his child because he doesn't want the backlash for it. He should, rightly, tell them to be angry at him and not the boy who did nothing wrong, but he's completely spineless. And that lack of anything resembling moral or intestinal fortitude is destroying any chance he has of a relationship with Opie. I feel for Opie. The only people in his corner now were very nearly strangers. But I'm glad he has them because I don't know if he would have lasted much longer in a home filled with people who unjustly hate him or are embarrassed by his existence. Wait, so the loser dad moved out and separated from his wife and still hasn't come through for Opie? He's not even responding to their texts? That guy is an absolute piece of crap. What a waste of human being. He deserves every bad thing. He was happily pretending Opie didn't exist, till his mom passed and his existence was exposed. So what did you expect? Dude cheated, kept a child hidden, used said child as emotional shield when his family was angry at him, abandoned the kid with his buddies. He isn't cut to be a father, a husband, or anything really. Giving a great dawn to Ben and John is probably the only good decision he ever made.